Hello, a good day to you all. Today is the 16th of March 2009 and we are presenting the Forexserve weekly update. Last week we had spoken about possibility of risk remission and we saw that happening to a great extent. Of course, this happened closer to the end of the week, and with that we saw the dollar tanking, the US long dated securities yields going down, and we also found the markets shedding the normal safe haven currencies and going for riskier assets. Of course, all this happened because some of the major US banks like Citi, JP Morgan and Bank of America reported that they wouldn't be needing the Federal Reserve to help them immediately again. Some of the US data too proved to be good, and in all there was remission like we had expected, and we saw the window of opportunity that we have spoken about, window of opportunity for dollar sellers came about, and we saw a scramble to buy the euro and the GBP, and of course the spanner in the works came from the SNB, which indicated that they wouldn't tolerate a very strong Swiss franc given that the country was in deep recession, and that saw the dollar against the Swiss franc at higher levels close to 119. But then since then we've seen that the natural market forces taking over. But of course the markets would have an eye on the yen and the Swiss franc, with both the countries' central banks supposedly wanting to weaken their home currency. In India, of course, we have seen the rupee gradually strengthen. There have been plays on both sides of the market, but by and large the rupee has tracked the global markets, and we've seen gradually the rupee strengthening as the US dollar index, we have pointed out, has also strengthened, come down quite a bit. So we expect the same thing to bear out this week as well. Thank you very much. Have a great week ahead. This week we start with the analysis of the Canadian dollar, which is shown here in the weekly time frame. We see that last week it has made kind of a double top with the week of 11th of January, and it was closed lower. So we would assume that this week too there would be an attempt to sell the dollar against the Canadian dollar, which would mean that the Canadian dollar would be expected to be stronger against the US dollar. And the Bollinger Band as shown here is narrowing in the weekly time frame, which indicates that there is a good possibility that there will be a trending mode and it would be to the downside. Okay, we look at now the GBP, and we find that there was in this time frame, which is basically the daily time frame, we see last week there was in the first part of the week, which was I think Monday, there was a big drop, which was a bit unnerving because our view was that it would possibly clamber up over this trend line, but it just dropped. But of course it held ground, and we've seen resumption of the uptrend, and now we are coming up close to the trend line, which is somewhere under 42.70, and if this level were to break, we would consider a possible inverted head and shoulder pattern breakout, which we had indicated earlier would have a measuring objective close to somewhere close to 150 plus region. So it would yeah, it would give us target support at 151. So in all probability, we would see this week being more powerful than last week for dollar sellers. Thank you and have a great week ahead.